going back, they're still reviewing about the finance committee up there, but they're,
Always coming out of this.
too much of the finance committee, but the IFO,
Okay, everyone, we'll get our meeting going. We at CEPTA thank everyone for coming out to the event that we have for House Bill and Senate Bill 76 with our speaker, Mr. Rich Shuker. And if you could join me now, we'll just do the pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our next meeting we're still working on, so we'll announce that through emails. And if you care to sign up on the sign-up sheets that we have in the front, that'd be great, because then we could keep you informed on what our events are going to be in the future. And we usually write write-ups about what's going on. We'll send you a link because we videotape all our meetings and put them up on the website that we can give out, and you can check everything out. We've done many presentations before on very interesting subjects too, so take a look at that. I can give you the site, but it's a long CEPTAPA.wordpress.com. General information, we have our tea and coffee in the back corner, little goodies in the back that you can get at later. Restrooms are right over here. And this, again, hopefully you signed up. Donations are appreciated. It helps us with these things. And that's it. Okay. Tonight's meeting is on property tax elimination, House and Senate Bill 76. Our speaker, Mr. Rich Shuker, a well-known, experienced financial consultant, many years in this field, and he belongs to an organization called Eyes on Pennsylvania, or Eyes on PA for short. And they have a website also, just eyesonpa.com. And that's it. I'll let him take over for the rest of the meeting. And where is Mr. Shuker? There he is. He's eyeing Monday. Your mic working?
Is my light working?
Yes.
Okay, everybody can hear me. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming. Secondly, I'd like to point out that if we would ever get anything accurate from Harrisburg, I think it would be a miracle.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I'm going to cover tonight with House Bill 76. But before I go into that, the legislators in Harrisburg are trying to do anything that they can to put a smoke screen out to get us off of House Bill 76. Denmark has a bill granting school districts the options to provide further property tax relief through the homestead exclusion. Well, we're going to discuss pretty much in depth tonight what they mean by control and local control. We have no local control. And that's going to be very evident by the time the meeting's over. You've heard about House Bill 1189. 1189 is the same mistake that they made in 1965. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time on that. And I guess one of our senators came out and said, no, we want to freeze the school taxes for seniors. We're already overpriced, are we? You all agree with that? Yeah. They're taxing us way too much. Who would like to do me a favor and read what a Supreme Court Justice of the United States says about school property taxes? Who'd like to read that for me? Come on, volunteer. Go ahead,
No power on earth has the right to take property from us without our consent. John Jay, first Chief Justice of the United States.
What does that mean? That is a Supreme Court Justice. they have no right to take our property the way they're taking it. None. I had sent this to the Finance Committee. Amazing how legislators always have a reason to do what's wrong, but can never find a reason to do what's right. Over 323,000 homes in foreclosure, but there is no problem. Over 106,000 tax liens filed by the state, and we have no problem. There's something wrong with this. Any legislator that will not support this bill is discriminating against the retired, disabled, and the low family income. And I'm going to give you specific examples of how that is happening, and they're not addressing it. They're catering to their obvious friends, and this is violating the Constitution, which makes these legislators red coats, not patriots, and should be removed from office and sent back to England. That's what I think of the Finance Committee. Let's bring in some history. Since 1834, the Commonwealth was funding school districts through property taxes, not school taxes. Now, in 1834, how many middle-income people own property? Very few, right? Very few. This tax was supposed to be addressed to the affluent in the country, and it was. For 179 years, think about that number, 179 years, we've had no problem in this country with property taxes. None. Many solutions have been attempted in the past 60 years. But in the last 60 years, they say we will eliminate them. Now, they keep talking about reforming. And reforming has always caused a bigger problem. (1946) was the first year that school taxes was enacted in this state. The school taxes was enacted to pay off state debt. That's why they were charged. Had nothing to do with educating our children. Nothing. It was to pay off debt. And to make the best out of this later. But in 1953, other than the property taxes, was the first year we had a tax solely for the purpose of educating our children. It was a 1% sales tax. It is still designated the educational tax. Does any of our sales tax go to educate kids today? No. What are we trying to do in House Bill 76? We're trying to go back to the basics of what has been working. That's what we're trying to do here. 1965, Act 511, the Tax Everything Act. How many legislators do you believe that are in Harrisburg that understand that that's when this problem started? Back in 1965, I was 19 years old. I didn't have a clue. And I'm a lot older than most of the young legislators. They do not have a clue what's going on. And in 1965 is where they passed onto our local government that basically they can tax anything that the state does not tax. That's what that law is about. And the only way that this is going to stop is one of two ways. 76 or the repeal of all the laws back to 1946. That's the only two ways this is going to stop. What the legislators want to do here is constantly push off their responsibility to a non-regulatory body. Therefore, we don't have to face what's going on. In 1971, Shack, what is, state income tax, 2.3%, known as the emergency income tax. Did it fail? Yes. 1971, I'm sorry, 1970, they tried to legalize a state lottery. That was no way, that was ideal. That goes back before that. Did it work? No. 2006. We had the great gambling money, didn't we? How many of you were benefiting? Well, since we've had the gambling money, I will use myself as the personal example here. Well, actually since 2003 to 2013, my personal school taxes went up 43%. I guarantee you one thing, I did not get a 43% raise over that period of time. And I really have got knocking out of the education system. 2006, that was the gambling money. That's what they did when they did this, is they put $1 in this pocket and then took $2 out of this pocket. Okay? If you look at the new IFO report, the brand new, the last page, it explains exactly what I told you. Exactly. Quick example of that, 2008, 2009, our school taxes went up $463 million in the state. When this program went into effect, we got a $526 million rebate from gambling, but our taxes still went up $490 million. They had a major increase. Major increase. The back of this IFO report verifies that the school spending is out of control. Totally out of control. I'm going to get back to that. 2011. They wanted to put restrictions on how the schools could raise the taxes. Right? If the school district has a chance to raise the tax above the rate of inflation or what they're allowed, how many of you in this room had a chance to vote on it? Did any of you? No. Now I want to give you another thought. Go to your legislator and have him if he voted on it. And guess what his answer is? No. So we have no local control because we can't vote on it, and we have no legislative control because they can't vote on it. Do you ever think about that one? How would you like to have an open checkbook for anything that you want to do to bill somebody else? And have no responsibility? Because that's the way the system is set up today. There is absolutely no local control. Oh, they won't do a referendum to put the four most popular bills out there. You think that ever happened? No. If they would put all the bills out there alongside of 76, guess what would pass? 76. Because 76 is the only school bill that's out there right now that protects everybody in this room. It does not protect the legislators. It does not protect the school district. It protects the taxpayers. And that is what our legislators is supposed to do. They're supposed to protect us. Funding. $14.5 billion. Let me make sure I got myself on the right page. There we go. What is this number? This has nothing to do with our school taxes.
runs the Department of Education.
Right. This is on top of our school tax. Now, I've heard numbers anywhere from 11 to 13 billion dollars that we're paying school taxes, that the state collecting school taxes from us. Let's use around number 12. If you add 12 to that, now we're up to 26.5 billion. Right?
Is that million or billion?
Billion.
14 billion.
That's right. Now, do any of you get little tax notices like this every year? If you work somewhere, I have to write an additional $10 because I'm still working. It's a school tax bill. That $26.5 billion does not include any of this money. I'm trying to get verification on this, but what I've been told is 9.1% of our local income tax also goes to the educational system. That's a lot of money, isn't it? Let me repeat myself here. 14.5 billion comes from the legislators. This money has oversight control. The legislators have a say on this. The 13.5 billion or 13 billion that we pay on school taxes, there's no control. Now, if the school districts want to get an increase more than the rate of inflation, how do we do that? They don't come to us for a vote, do they? They don't go to the legislators for a vote. Okay? Now think about this one. The school districts are under the union, right? So they go to the people that work in the Department of Education who belong to a union. So we have one union going to another union and say, we want to steal these people's money. And they say, okay. How much you want? It's okay. Now all these regulations were supposed to stop this.
Rich, just one question there. You have 14.5 million, is that actually billion?
It's actually billion.
Okay, just to clarify.
I got it, actually billion. Now everything I'm showing you out here is also over there in handouts. Okay, everything I'm going over is verified on that table. So what happened? That job. Pennsylvania educational spending increased $4 billion, was $4 billion in 19 days to over $25 billion in 2009. That's a 133% increase in per pupil spending. How many of you voted for that? What control do you have? No. Actually, the unions control this. My biggest complaint about the educational system is not the teachers. There's good teachers out there that want to educate the kids, but because of the regulations that put on them, they can't. I've talked to a lot of teachers about that. So since 2000 through 2009, the enrollment in school in the state of Pennsylvania dropped by 26,960 students. Now I want you to think about this number a minute. If we use an average cost of $10,000 per student, which is low for what it is today, and 26,960 students left the educational system, what should have happened to our life? They should have went down. And they should should have went down big time. But instead, the school hired 32,900 new people to educate 26,911 students. What do you think happened to their grade averages from then till now? They went down too. I don't know if you're aware of it. Pennsylvania 2000, this is 2010 and 11, but this was just released, is about our educational system and how our educational system is failing our students. This is a report right from the educational department. And basically what it states in here is, let me get the right one here. Yep, that's not the right one. In science, 59% of 11th grade students are not proficient in science. 59%. Is there something wrong with that? For this reason, we need to get control. We need to take control back. And House Bill 76 can do that. When it comes to the spending, right now they can increase the spending anywhere they want, right? If House Bill 76 passes, and this is the only bill that does this, if it passes, the educational system can only raise the cost of education by either CPI or increased revenues, which is ever less. Now what does that do for us? The IFO report, since 1980, the new one, shows that they increased the cost of education by over 6.1%. Anyone who's familiar with what they call a financial rule of 72? Rule of 72 is this: whatever interest rate you get on your money, if you divide that into 72, it will tell you the number of years it will take for that money to go. So 6 into 72 means that every 12 years, the cost is going to double. What that means to everybody in this room is, 12 years from now, instead of, according to their report, our school tax is being $12 billion, it's going to be $24 billion. That means our school taxes, if we leave it the way it is, the taxes will double within 12 years. Do you think that's going to make it easier or harder? It's going to make it a lot harder. CPI was 3%. If you divide 3 into 72, you get 24. That means it would take 24 years for our taxes to go. But they've been doing it as an average of every 12. This would put a big strain on the schools. I agree with that. But they've been overspending all along anyway. And they need to put something about the taxpayers up first and control this wasteful spending. Educational ratings without 43rd in the nation. We are the 10th highest in cost of education in the nation, but we're 43rd in production. To me, that's a problem. Reserves, $2.7 billion. Anybody have a calculator? No? If you do, take 2.7 billion times 4%, and you're going to find out how much money our educational system is throwing away in interest that we should not be paying. These reserves should be going to pay off the debt. If any school district has a problem, who is responsible for taking care of it? The legislators. So if there would be a problem, they just have to go to legislators and say, we had a roof collapse, we need to fix. Okay, here's money. It's that simple. They do not need these reserves. You think the reserves are getting better or worse? Okay? That was 2010. So, there we go, I'm sorry. Spending continues to grow. It actually went from $10,000 per student up to 14. That's going to go drastically higher. The increase was $13 billion from 1995 to 1996 to $26 billion in 2009 and 10, adjusted for inflation. This represents a 44% increase in cost per student. To me, that is a very large number. Excessively too high. How many of you got a 44% raise in that period of time? And this is the way we have to look at this. The cost of this should not go up greater than our income does, because it will never work. 14,000 per student, 2009, 2010. School construction increased by 140%. What's the debt now? It's not 2.8 anymore. It's 2.9. Now, I did some math before I come up with it earlier. Our debt is $2.82 billion. The average interest rate on this debt across the state is 4%. That means we're paying $112.8 million every year in debt, where the money is sitting there in reserve that can pay off the debt. What kind of financial insanity is that? Because that's what it is. The new numbers is students decreased by 35,510 through 2010. If we take the average cost, if I go back over that period of time, the average cost per student is about $12,000. That means right now, today, our educational system is wasting $426.1 million a year just on that. So the question is, how does House Bill 76 stop this? Okay? If the school districts can only get this much of an increase, what do they have to make their cut at? Inside. They're going to have to, yes, they're going to have to let the teachers go. But they have too many teachers now. Are they going to have to negotiate and cut some of these pensions? Yeah. Because they're only allowed this much money. Now the fight, instead of being the school districts and the legislators against us, we've just changed that, and the war now is between the legislators and the school districts. We've taken ourselves out of this equation because they're restricted on what they do. The other thing that happens with this, I find very interesting. If all of this was based off of income tax and sales tax, doesn't the legislators now have to start concentrating on the economy? If they want more money, they never make the economy work. They can't just adversely say, you're paying more money because you're a problem. That's insanity. So we're going to put pressure on that. How many of the leaders in Harrisburg want that responsibility? No.
They're chicken.
You're right. They're chickens. They don't want to face up to what they really are supposed to do. Now, if House Bill 76 passes, that benefit us? It sure does. Let's go to the government debt next. Yep. Did I miss this? School reserves, 140%. We talked about that. Oh. How many of the legislators understand that?
Maybe 5.
Tom, how about reading that for?
All men are born equally free and independent, and have certain inherent and indefeasible rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property and reputation, and of pursuing their own happiness.
Why does it appear that Harrisburg legislators do not understand that statement? Most of them don't care. They don't follow the Constitution. They don't know the Constitution. Some of the information that I covered here so far, when we had the bus trip, I was not out front, doing the partying and all that kind of stuff out front. I was in Ryan McKenzie's office. We had an interesting conversation. And what I found out is, he didn't have a clue. He would be talking about something, and then I would pull one of the fact sheets out and I'd hand it to him. What about this? What about this? He danced a little bit. In fact, he didn't want to talk with me, so he actually directed some of his questions towards Tom with me. Then we got back on the subject again. Now, I don't know if it helped, but when it was the vote to put House Bill 76 under 1189, he did vote for it. Okay? So, I wouldn't give him credit for that. Is that a plus? Yes. But again, back to the debt. We talk about how much is spent. This is actually from the new IFO report. In the last 10 years, they spent $102.6 billion on education through property tax. Now again, this is not counting the government funding. Now you want to add that in there also, you have a lot of money. But this debt, isn't that spending also? In the last 10 years, the debt went up by $7.2 billion. And I'm going to ask you a crazy question. How many of you voted for it? How many of the legislators voted for it? The answer is 0 to 1. So in reality, do we have, as taxpayers, do we have any control of what's going on? Any of you belong to a board, teachers board, teachers union board, or the school? School board? School board? How much say do you really have? Not much. Okay? And if you raise those blocks, yes? Don't they get mad at you? If you point out the fact, they get mad at you. But then our legislators say, well, that's your control. You can complain, you can't do nothing about it. Or you can go into a meeting and write a 3x5 card, your question, and hand it in, and if you're lucky, they're going to pick it. This is what happens on government. And if they do choose, you got 3 minutes. Yeah, that's a lot of say, isn't it? realistically, the only local control we have is every year, write the check and send it in. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, you don't want this money to go to Harrisburg. Well, the work on it, 87 years. That's number one. Number two, if I don't like what's going on, I can go and call and meet with my legislator. I've brought the legislators out of my district more in a month than I've had with the whole school board government in a year. I have their personal phone numbers, I have their office numbers, I have the home numbers. You think I have the telephone number of the president of our school board of government? There's no way they want me to have that phone number. More than 3/4 of Pennsylvania's state level borrowing is done by all budget state agencies and authorities. Our legislators have no say. This is just another interesting point to go along, that our legislators don't do. They don't know what's going on. But are not the legislators the ones supposed to control the money? Isn't the House supposed to do that? Isn't the House supposed to take care of the borrowing? House Bill 76 is the first step of taking this back. Is it going to stop there? It can't. This needs to be the first step. Ever since I've been following politics and following laws, when laws are written and they come out, I look at everything one way. How does my client benefit? If they don't benefit from the bill is no good. Is that good? The taxpayers need to be put first. And that's what I fight on all the time. And we need to start taking our state back. And again, House Bill 76 is the first step. Part of education, school district had increased from $19.4 billion to $26 billion in 2010, increased to 38%. I didn't go over that numbers or what could be said there. Now, is that the only taxes we pay in the school? Any of you have kids in school? Do you have to pay for them to participate in something? Isn't that an additional tax on top of all the money we're talking about? Who authorized them to do that? Who allows them to do that? Have you voted on it? Have the legislators voted on it? No. They just randomly at will, because there is no control, do that on their own. These are just examples that I got out of an article. Not free. Kindergarten attendance. Come on. When I was in school, I was very active. I played basketball, I played baseball, I played football, I ran track. Guess what I paid for my uniforms? I can remember the baseball uniform that I had at 6 years old. I got it, my responsibility to come to a game with it clean. As the season's over, I gave it back. The only thing I supplied was a baseball glove. That was it. Now, prior to all this nonsense getting in the educational system, that's where it went. And taxes were under control. Because of the educational system, we have have a lot more dropouts now than we had before? Yes, we do. Is that an additional cost to us? That's another failure by the educational system. The answer is yes. According to the Department of Education, 43% of male inmates and 36% of female inmates do not have a high school diploma or GED. To me, that's pathetic. I hear all the talk and rhetoric about for the kids. You've all heard that, right? But the party goes on in the educational system. Until we start pulling together and tightening that noose up and forcing, and I hate to say it this way, but the fact, forcing the schools to get the bad teachers out and keep the good teachers in so our kids don't end up like this, we are never going to win. My wife was telling me about a thing she read in the paper. Adults, not kids, adults. With the educational level in the world, guess who was number one? The USA they were number one. We are now 17th. Whose fault is that? I want our kids to have a good education. My grandkids went to college and I asked them about the Constitution and they looked at me and say, Our history isn't taught anymore. The basic principles of work hard isn't taught anymore. It's become a society of freeloaders. 49% of the dropouts in Philadelphia receive at least one government assistance welfare. Any of you believe that welfare is a problem in the educational system? If you believe it, let's hear yes. It is a major problem. A lot bigger problem than what our legislators want to admit. At Muhlenberg, down around Reading, 51% of the children in the class receive free lunches. 51%. Who pays for the free lunches? Thank you, people. Okay? We pay for that. Is that something that should be eliminated? Yeah. My personal opinion, we get House Bill 76 just for a minute. My personal opinion is the federal law states that an individual lifetime benefit of welfare is 5 years. Lifetime benefit. So if they're on 2 or go back on, it's 5 years. Why isn't it enforced? States kind of ran away with it. That would be a discussion for another day if you want me to come up and talk about welfare for and how Rendell really crushed us on that. Graduates reduced corrections welfare spending. Pennsylvania could save as much as $505 million in health care benefits if they had a diploma. Failing educational system. Analysis for the Alliance of Excellence Education shows Pennsylvania's economy could see a combination of climate-related savings and additional revenue of about $288,000. $288 million. Okay? And that's only based on the 5% increase. Performance. Percentage of students proficient in reading and math declined for 4th, 8th, and 11th grade students. Don't we hear all the time? For the kids. The money for the kids. The money hasn't fixed anything in our educational system. Again, House Bill 76. If we restrict that spending, what are we forcing the school district to do?
Become more efficient.
Get more efficient. They're going to have to put the kids first. I have to tell you a little story. I'm a registered Republican, and I don't believe we have a Republican Party anymore. I'll start with that. I don't believe we have Democrats and Republicans at all anymore. I believe we have patriots and redcoats. One of the Democrats in town is ready to contact reality. When the numbers come up about the student decrease and the staffer increase, I started calling him on a weekly basis and asking him about this. Asked him if he had the information. Then I finally said, well, would you do me a favor? Would you go to Reading High, go through the school, and verify if this is actually a fact? I was surprised. He said, I'll do that with you. 2 weeks later, he calls me back on the phone. He says, this is worse than what you were talking about. I said, what do you mean, Tom? He said, I was up there 2 full days in Reading High School. They could close 25% of the school because they don't have the students. He recommended that they take that section of the school, clean it up, and then rent it to one of the local colleges. So they have money coming in. School board says, oh, we can't do that. But that makes sense to me. That's point number one. Point number two, what he stated to me was, those days that he was up at the school, he found the same teacher in the teacher's lounge every time he went to the teacher's lounge. So he finally went up to the teacher and said, what classes do you teach? He says, I teach one a day. He teaches one class a day. The rest of the time he's in the teacher's lounge and he gets a full-time pay. Now, I don't know about you, but I love to play golf. And if I play golf on a regular basis, I can get pretty good at it. But if I quit playing and go every 6 months, 9 months, do I have the same game? No. And the teachers don't have the same game in the classroom either. Because you will lose that edge. And we need them teachers in the classroom all the time doing the right job for the kids. This is actually the chart of the changes in the math. This actually comes from the state of Pennsylvania. Nope.
It goes to school where I teach. It got worse and worse every year. So finally,
If I can just interrupt, if you can use a microphone.
sorry.
I teach at a tech school, and in the last 3 years, they noticed that the 10th graders coming up from the high schools were getting worse and worse in reading and arithmetic. That the teacher that teaches the heating and air conditioning, plumbing, machine shop courses could no longer teach the course because the students couldn't read, write, or do arithmetic. This is all part of the No Child Left Behind. So pass, on they came up to 10th grade, entered vo-tech to learn a trade, and couldn't read or write, or do basic math, addition, subtraction, let alone division and multiplication. So, every classroom in the vo-tech had to hire a math English teacher. So there was the numbers that Rich was talking about the increase. So this babysitter they hired goes around every day teaching 10th graders how to read and write and do arithmetic. And this is probably not just my vo-tech, but every vo-tech in the state.
It's a shame what's going on. Right now. Performance of the schools. 30 schools across the state saw a decline of more than 20% in their overall proficiency rate. Where's the money going? This is information that I personally believe needs to be thrown in the legislator's lap and wake them up. They need to get on the right program, not the wrong program. Spending in the past 15 years, from 1996 to 2011, Pennsylvania now spends nearly $15,000 per student. Jessica, what did you tell me coming up? How many kids did you educate? 6. Self-study, home study, right? What did it cost you to educate all 6? $1,500 a year for all of them. I would bet my next year's salary, or my income, not salary, because I don't have one of them, that if I would take Jessica's kids and put them in a proficiency test against these, her children would come out on head. No question in my mind about that. Says it's increased by 35,000. What's the starting wage of a teacher in the state of Pennsylvania? Anybody know?
45, about 65,000.
That's the average. The startup rate is $41,000, a little over $41,000. Now, if you want to get yourself a little bit crazy, to hire 35,000 people at $41,000 a piece. How many billions of dollars is that? That we don't need. Over $3 billion in reserve. We talked about that. Those are 40% of the 4th and 8th grade students are proficient in reading and math. 40%. That means 50% there. I don't know about you. When I was in school, like I mentioned earlier, I could play sports. I needed to have a decent grade to even play. And I remember one season when I played basketball, I went to school during the day, went to basketball practice after school, then I was back in the classroom because my grades weren't high enough to play. Do you think the teachers can do that today? No. I had a teacher that was concerned about students, and he helped whip me into shape. I was not a reader at that time, not like a vulture, and read everything I could get my hands on. But it was thanks to people like him that helped me get going where I needed to go. In Reading, none of the 24 district schools made AYB. Adequate yearly progress. Okay, now I'm down. 10% of the district schools made AYB compared with 50% of the charter schools in Lehigh County. Which is cheaper, to send your kids to? First. Now, there's one thing in the bill, House Bill 76 and Senate Bill 76 is not perfect. It is not designed to fix every problem what we have in the system. Because if they drafted a perfect bill that everybody in this room would agree with, what's the chances of getting it passed in the House and the Senate? Zero. So this bill is designed to take a little bit back here, a little bit here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here. I know there's a lot of complaining about the unequal funding across the state. Right? I personally think all schools should be paid per student. Right? Guess what happened when they wanted to put that in House Bill 76? Oh, you can't do that. But what will House Bill 76 force to happen when it's passed? It will force the legislators to confront the unequitable funding. It will force them to fix it. Because the schools now are restricted on the money that they're receiving. They don't have to fix it. They will not be able to let that go. This here is one of my most upsetting subjects that's happening in this country. Homeownership. You go back to 1940, where was it? Almost 60%. Homeownership today? 30. Well, what happened in 1946? Property taxes. That's what happened. That's when they started property taxes for the debt. The escalation of property taxes reduced homeownership. Will House Bill 76 fix this problem? Yes. Yes, it will. Do we have any realtors in the room? No? From the financial side, banks must follow the guidelines issued by our government, Freddie Mac. Okay? And there's ratios that your debt and income has to fit into. Normally, they allow you to take 30% of your income to pay towards a mortgage, property taxes, and homeowners insurance, and then another 10% to pay all of the debt. So you can use 40% of your income to qualify to buy a loan or buy a house. Okay? I have a letter in here from a title company, and he itemized every fee that would not be on the settlement sheet if we did not have property tax. That's point number one. Point number two, when you buy a house, whatever the 14-month cost is for your property taxes, that's part of your settlement. So settlement costs would drop more than 30%. Do you think that would make it easier for the low income to buy a home? You better believe it. The other thing it does is this. If you have a $300 school tax payment per month, and you wanted to upgrade your house, you could actually pay that payment, convert it into a mortgage, and buy a house worth $60,000 more. If you you think that would help drive the real estate market? Now, there's another factor with mortgage and mortgage payments. Your mortgage payment is based off of your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and your mortgage payment, right? By eliminating the school taxes, you will remove right close to 20 to 25% of the payment. Now, if you have to qualify with a bank, and your ratio shows you have 25% more money, does that mean it's going to make it easier for you to buy a home? Yes, it is. It's really going to open up the market for the low income. Now, the wealthy, it doesn't matter. They can afford what they want. But House Bill 76 will not only enhance, according to the IFO report, the original IFO report, they had stated that the revenue, because every time you buy or sell a house, you have a transfer tax. They stated that the revenue from the transfers would go up at least 10%. But that was based off of last year's number. Okay? Property values go up, we get 10%. But do you think there would be more homes sold? You better believe it. There'd be a lot more homes sold. I talked to 3 realtors, and they said that the sales of properties should jump anywhere between 15 and 20%. That's revenue that is not counted in these IFO reports, even though they know that's going to happen. This would stop. That would start turning up the other way. Okay. Now, this is according to AARP. About 600,000 Americans who are 50 years or older are in foreclosure. Wow. The tax structure today is very, very discriminatory against the retired. We did the radio show in August, I believe it was, and the following week, I actually met with a teacher and her husband. The husband was 72 years old. The teacher was 70. They both had a good income. They both collected Social Security. He worked at Med, and she worked for a school district. Very comfortable. The house is paid for. You only have to pay school taxes. Not a problem. I said, John, I have a question for you. If your wife dies, which will happen down the road, what's going to happen to your income? Social Security, one of them, gone. Teacher's pension, gone. How easy is it going to be to keep that house there when you lose at least 50% of your income? He looked at me and said, Rich, it would be impossible. I'd have to sell the house. And that's why the taxes of every law are discriminatory. It makes no adjustments for life. They should not only not be taxing our property, they should be taking it from us. We should own it. But that's why this tax is so discriminatory. It stops the low income from buying homes. It penalizes the retired because of the escalation. The only people that do not win on House Bill 76 is the people that are taking home more than $300,000 a year. Everybody else, the House Bill 76 helps. That is the actual matter. Everybody with 300,000, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. Okay? More than 1.5 million older Americans already have lost their homes. Foreclosures and tax sales. This needs to stop. House Bill 76 will stop. Over 625,000 in the same age group are at least 3 months behind in their mortgage. I talk to retired people that what they have to do to pay their school taxes is take out equity loans. On the radio show, a lady had called in with the neighbor. She's widowed. She had to take her husband's wedding ring and her wedding ring in her pocket to pay 1 year taxes. This to me is insanity. And this kind of stuff needs to stop. 3.5 million, or 16% of the older homeowners are underwater. Is it their fault? No. It's the system's fault. If we go back to 2007, when we had the major real estate crash, that was deliberately caused by the federal government. The law was passed in 1993 and went into effect in 1998. We're talking about that would be for another day. According to the ARP, in the past 5 years, the portion of loans held by older Americans that are seriously delinquent jumped by more than 450%. Do you think these legislators can tell me that this isn't a problem? No way they're going to convince me of this. According to our homeowners who are younger than 50, have a higher rate of serious delinquency than their older counterparts. But the rate is increasing at a faster rate for older Americans than for the younger ones, according to our analysis of over 17 million mortgages. We've got to stop this insanity. AB 76 will fix this. There's not another bill in Harrisburg that touches fixing these problems. 50 and older, 2006 was talked about a recession that started in 2007. 8 in 10 of them who own homes, but many are now fixed income, have little savings, have only burned through much of their retirement savings. They also have fewer working years left to build back what they have lost. To me, all of this is a crime. Those who are 75 and older are in the worst shape. Wonder why? Okay. 2007, 1 out of every 300 homeowners, 75 or older, was in foreclosure. 5 years later, 1 in 30. Mike tour guide cannot tell me foreclosures is not a problem. There's nobody in Harrisburg who can tell me that. Some examples. Burke County, population, 413,491, households, 153,000. Average size house, 174. 54.8 is the income. 8,575 foreclosures in Burke County. 2,316 tax liens. Average property tax is $3,000. This is Lehigh. 8,000 in foreclosure, 3,000 with tax lien, average property tax, 3,000. I think there's one more page of this time. No. I want to mention this too. The legislators state that these taxes are not a problem. Now this is from 2009. This is the latest report I can get. In 2009, in all the counties in Burke County, in the state of Pennsylvania, all the counties in the state, Burke County was the 7th highest in taxes, Lehigh County was the 8th. And property taxes across the whole state. Burke County was the 144th most expensive county in the United States. And that's not a problem. Lehigh County was 150 in the United States. I have to lay out, some of the legislators have mentioned things as like the Michigan report. Have any of you heard that? Any legislators said about the Michigan report? Well, this Michigan report is nothing more than 1189. So it is. But they want to say this was elimination. Because if it was elimination, Michigan would not have county taxes in the top 50 in the nation, would they? I actually have a copy of all the counties in the nation. What some of the people are doing is just trying to give us lip service. Because of taxes, and especially school taxes, we have what they call out-migration. This is the number of people that left the state and went to them states because of taxes. There were 77,184 people left the state, took 14,000 exemptions with them, and the state had lost revenues of $4.2 billion. And the state wants to say, well, we don't have any money. Right? If they would have done something to keep these people in the state, wouldn't we have more money? After the state went from competitive 36 to 43rd, performance was down to 46. That's just the more of that argument. Right. Pennsylvania ranks 30th nationwide for property tax burden, $32.55 for every $1,000 of personal income. Welfare. I want to touch on that a little bit, which I mentioned earlier.
Is that millions or billions?
Billions. Billions. $28.4 billion being spent on welfare. Isn't that what our budget is? Think about that. If they stop welfare, they could stop taxing us. They can eliminate all taxes. There was an interesting study done by the Commonwealth Foundation and in the cycle. And actually what they found was that Jack Wagner, when he was Auditor General, verified 15% of the $28.4 billion is fraud. People have $4.5 billion. That's half of what we pay on school taxes. If they just eliminate the fraud, they eliminate all the school taxes for all the seniors, or cut all the school taxes in half. Something needs to be done about that. Myth of local control. I'm going to let you read that. That's over there. House Bill 76, the way it was designed, has consequences for the educational system, consequences for the school district. Right? And the other consequences is our benefit. We freeze or actually minimize the increases on our school tax. That benefits us. They can't take any debt unless they come to us in a referendum and we vote for it. They can't just do it anytime they want. The deficit in the educational system right now, in your particular school district, they grandfather. There must be a sunset date when that debt paid off. That debt must go away. That's in the bill. That helps us. Yep. That, everything in there benefits us. This is the only bill that I have seen in years that was drafted to help the taxpayer. But every aspect of this, it stops the major expansions. It stops the wasteful spending. It stops the wasteful hiring. It forces the school districts to pay more attention to what's actually happening within the school and control their mistakes. That's what this bill does. It is the people's bill. Again, is it perfect? No. But this...
Last night at the East Bend School Board, the president told the public and the reporters there that HB 76 was dead because the IFO report said that the numbers didn't match, including the president.
The IFO report, I love when they say that. This is the old IFO report, one last year. And they said the math doesn't work. So what they didn't tell you is, in this, they anticipated that $3 billion of this money was coming from the business. $3 billion was coming from businesses. Okay? In the report, it so states, we don't know what they're going to do with it. So we're not going to count any revenue from it. Okay? Point number one. Point number two, I touched on earlier. Properties are going to increase in value, at least 10%. In the old report, they said, oh, well, we don't know if that's really going to happen, so we're not going to count that increase. In other words, what they do is constantly leave revenue out. Okay? Now, I studied this one, and there was also one from Texas. And I like the kid when you make this joke. This one was written by full-time legislators. This one was written by part-time. Guess what, which made the most sense? This one. Okay? Now, I'm talking about these two reports. This report bases everything that happened previously, not counting the increases that's going to happen. This one anticipated what was going to happen in increases. Okay? This one states that the average worker will get an increase in income because of eliminating the school taxes by $3,500 a year. It's going to generate a lot more revenue. It's going to be very positive. They don't count that here. There's two ways to do a financial program. One of it is to say, okay, this is what happened in the last 5 years. We're going to use these numbers to protect the future. Well, how was the economy in the last 5 years? Awful. It was awful. So you're using awful numbers to give a number for the future. The other analysis I call strategic plan. That if this money is going to come in, if the $8 billion of the people's money gets spent, what is that going to cost? What is that going to generate? From the day this report came out, I said it was going to be a $3 to $5 billion surplus. That's what I stated when this old report came out. I talked to a legislator about 3 weeks ago. Talked about the strategic part of this. The old one. You're right, Rich. I now know there's going to be over a $3 billion surplus.
Yes.
That came from a legislator that understands strategic. This new IFO report, we're going to look at the numbers, we're going to cut that and project future income off of the last 10 years of revenue. But what also is included in this bill, not of this, in this bill, taxes can only go up by CPI, or revenue, which is ever less. When they did the analysis in this bill, over the last 10 years, they did and included not a 3% increase in the school taxes, but a 5.3%, which is not in that bill. They overestimated the cost of the school by over 100% to make the numbers look bad.
Tell the folks what IFO stands for, who gets on the committee, and how they get there.
Good question. IFO is the Independent Fiscal Office. We were started a couple years ago. Now they're supposed to be independent. So one of the gentlemen that works there, and when they started this, now I'm going to say it this way. When they started the agencies, everybody that worked for that lousy office was appointed by leadership. It has nothing to do with their financial background. The gentleman that was at a meeting to support this, Rich Shuker, he does not have a financial degree. He was taken out of the state government and put somewhere else in the state government by leadership. Mr. LaFever and I had a little bit of a confrontation quite a few years ago when Dave Largo and Jerry Ellis invited me to talk to the Senate stairs. And we had a very interesting conversation. And when the meeting was over, I told Dave Largo that if you pay everybody in this room more than $50 a month, you overpay them. And I said it loud enough that they all heard me. Because none of them knew what was going on. And I do have a little bit of fun in the meeting. We went in with 2 suitcases and had them on the floor. And when I was questioned about my numbers, I took the suitcases out, put them up on the table, and started drawing profit, putting reminders on the table. Here's my proof, where is yours? They didn't have that. Okay? I just want to touch on 2 things real quick. EOP website, Iowa, Pennsylvania. Basically what you're going to find on that website is everything the legislature don't want you to know. Reports, studies, they come out, they're up there. If there's any information that you read on there and you want more additional information, you can write Iowa, Pennsylvania, ask your question, we will answer the question and then send you the documentation. It's an educational center. And it's for everybody to use. And that's why we set that up. We do educational seminars the 3rd Monday of every month at Wegmans Restaurant down in Cameron.
Route 61.
Route 61.
That's south of the 222.
There you go. Also on our website is all the seminars that we have put on. All the educational forums we put on are listed. Okay? Welfare, immigration, the taxes, how taxes really work, how government uses our money. One of my favorites is what the gas prices these days. Okay? I just tell you a quick out there. How many of you know that we pay a 36.8 tax to OPEC per gallon.
It's their product, it's their price.
You got it. And if we become energy independent, we could tell them to go down to 36%. Okay? The other thing I want to mention is actually two things. Tom, would you come up with me, please? Tom has a lot to do with
Maybe you should be up here then.
you ever want to? I don't care.
He's talking about gas
And then you talk about the next one.
Oh, about 14 weeks ago, we started this cash program.
I'm going to ask again, if you wouldn't mind using my, I'm sorry.
About
14 weeks ago, we started the cash program. Basically, what we do each week is send out to anybody that's signed up for it. It's an email program. We give you directions on, it's a cut and paste thing. We'll tell you what legislators we would like you to contact that week. The governor is included every week, so when he says that he doesn't read these bills, nobody's fault but his own. And we're giving little tidbits as far as what we would like you to direct to the legislators. There's also about 100 sample letters in there. You can look at them, you can use them, or just pick and choose from them. Make up your own. You send them out. We made it so simple, you just copy all the legislators' name down. First thing we tell you to do is address it to yourself. On the blind copy part of your email program, plug in all the legislators. You have your letter, you plug that right onto your email. If you're not used to doing it, it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. Once you get used to it, you can be done in 3 minutes. And you've sent out 50, 30, whatever number of legislators that we have on the list. This is the older one now. We're now in Act 2. When we started this thing, there was 67 legislators turned on. We're at 88. We're up to 24 senators. Yes, we have this over here. Okay, and you just sign up to that. It's not on.
You're over 40, man, you can't get as far enough up to read it.
Right, yeah. No, I'm looking for where they would contact us. Oh, it's on the back, for one thing. Thanks, Tom. It's on the back. We'll sign up through the admin on Eyes on Pennsylvania. We'll add you to the list. The next week that it goes out, you'll get it. Any questions that you have with it, on our website, we also put together a how-to video so you can actually watch how to do it. There's written instructions on the sheets that we send you. So it's really foolproof as far as that goes.
Question?
Okay, Tom? We also doing videos.
Somebody, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, couldn't hear. What is the name of that organization that you were just talking about, and what is the purpose? I didn't hear what you said in the beginning.
Well, the purpose of this is to let the legislators know that we, the people, want this done. So you write your own letter stating what your cause is, why you want your property taxes eliminated, school property taxes eliminated.
Just property taxes, that's what you're dealing with.
I'm sorry?
Just property taxes.
School property taxes. At this point, we're just working on school property taxes.
Okay, the next thing Rich wanted me to talk about was we're trying to put together videos. I'm going to show a sample of what we did here at the WEU event a month ago. What we'd like to do is I'd like to ask everybody here tonight if you have a personal story of how property taxes are directly affecting you. Have you lost your home? Has your mother or has your parents lost their home? A relative, a neighbor? Have they lost their home to property taxes, or have they had a reverse mortgage their home, or take out a home equity loan. How is it that directly affecting them? And what we'd like to do is, I put together a little 5-minute video here. This is already gone, on the cast. Things that are being sent out to Harrisburg. I sent it, and I know other people are sending it to the senators and to the representatives. They're seeing the real faces of how this is affecting people. So if anybody here, after we're done tonight, has a story they would like to share, just very short, very brief, 30 seconds to a minute of what it's doing to you, come see me. I'll have a camera set up in a corner somewhere, and you can give me your brief personal story. Okay? And Rich, when you're done, well, you got Michael.
I know, and I'll play the video.
I know I ran long. I don't know, do I have time to take any questions?
I would really like to be able to take questions.
Okay.
I have the microphone, so if anybody wants to ask questions, raise your hands, I'll bring it over, ask your question, and we'll see if Rich can answer it.
Make sure you give me some tough ones.
Thank you for your presentation this evening. Couple of comments. First, I think that both House Bill and Senate Bill 76 are bad policy and bad politics. And the reason is not because I'm against eliminating school taxes. The reason is the choke the beast approach didn't work out so well in California. Hasn't worked well. California's in more of a fiscal crisis than the state of Pennsylvania. It's first. Second, the real problem is on the expense side. You pointed out House Bill 76, Senate Bill 76 really doesn't do anything to address the expense side. So that's the reason it's bad policy. The reason it's bad politics is because it sets up a very easy opening for the Democratic Party to approach you and say, you've taken all these very selfish seniors and you've made the working people pay for them. Now, whether it's true or not doesn't matter. It sells in Peoria. That's why it's bad politics.
It is not bad policy from a financial point of view. Actually, it would increase the revenues in the state. It would increase the economy. It would put people back to work. Our economy status will jump up from where we are now. It is definitely good for the economy. Now, if you want to say, what was your second comment about that it didn't do?
It doesn't address the expense side. Basically, the thing that's driving expenses in the school districts is unionization. It's bloated pension and benefit. It's not, things like school buildings. And actually, it's not so much even teacher salaries.
It's actually a combination of all of them, sir.
Yes, it is. You're correct. But look at the right numbers and look at the right policy to start trying to reduce them. And it's not cutting property taxes.
This bill will force a major look at the pension. The way it's set up right now, there is no reason to fix the pension problems at all. There's no reason. Because they can come after us and get the money. Now, the legislators would want to tell us that the biggest part of the pension problem is that they were underfunded. You agree with that? We have all the money. Well, this comes from the PSER website. Right off of their information. From 1990 through 1999, the majority of that is we overfunded them pensions by over 100%. My question is, what happened to all the money? Okay? We overfunded them in 97 and 2007 and 2008, and we overfunded them this past year. So, because of the overfunding, I had to look at the math. Because I wanted to know what the facts were. In 2000, they had a $53.7 billion reserve. Okay, so we had a market crash, stuff went down, and we're down to 43.5 billion. The market rebounded, and through 2006 to 2007, they were up to 67 billion. Well, now we got another crash. And it's also your fault and the legislator's fault for not enough money was put in there. That's what they want to tell us. Well, at the end of 12/12, they only had $49.7 billion in the account. They were $19.7 billion short. Well, being from the financial field, I looked at where's the pension money been? I looked at mutual funds, I looked at bonds, I combined them. And with what was going on, there should have been no loss. There should have been a profit. So I just used bonds. Based on the money that they're putting in and they're taking out. On top of what's there. If I were to use bonds, income bonds, it would have been a profit. Well, I have to find out why. Why did this particular company had a $19 billion loss of a $47 billion shortfall? This is one of 19 unions in the state. What I found out off of their website is that 21.3% of the investments, which is primarily handled by the union people, because they outsource 75% of the money. But the 21.3% handled by the union people was in private markets, unregistered securities. I have been after the legislators to look at every pension fund and find out how they can put such money in such risky investments. If I would do that for my client, my butt would be in jail. That $19 billion loss is not our fault. It's not an underfunding fault. It's an investment fault. So I have been asked with the legislators in my district to do some investigating and find out what this is, and yes, fix the pension. The pensions need to be fixed. There's no question about that. But how many of you has heard about this, about the pensions? Go to their website, that's where it is. Okay? House Bill 76 will be the best bill that Pennsylvania has ever passed for the taxpayers. And I don't care what the rhetoric is there. If anybody wants to disagree with me, I do not want lip service. I want to see the verifications. I want to see the factual studies. And if you can convince me of that, then I'll go along with it. But if you can't provide the factual documented information, then I'll hear it. I don't want to hear the rhetoric. I want to see the facts.
Correct me now,
HB 76, the way we have right now, prior to HB 76, the school district looks at what it wants to budget. Oh, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. Or how much taxes do we have to raise to get what we want? HB 76 will force the school districts, because the state will be providing them the money, and it'll tell them how much, so that forces the economy and the spending problems that this gentleman back here has talked about. Is that not true?
Yeah, it'll restrict all that spending problems, you're right.
Because they'll have to budget like we do for people that pay the bills.
That's right. And it's going to force them to look at the pensions, it's going to force them to look at the spending, okay? Because they will be on a budget. And that's what we have to have. We can't allow anybody, I don't care if it's the legislators, the educational system, The welfare, we cannot give them unlimited checks with no restraints. We can't do that. That's gonna kill us.
So just to clarify, if we eliminate the school property tax, it would be replaced with what?
Okay? It would be replaced with an increased income tax, okay? And an increased sales tax. Be 3.07, I think 4.34, the sales tax, or the income tax would drop to, sales tax would drop to 6 to 7. There would be a slight expansion to the sales tax, not to the degree that I would want to see. I believe in what our founding fathers said, that everybody should pay their fair share of everything. There's a quote here on that. House of Representatives should pass no bill which will not have its full operation on themselves and their friends as well as the great mass of society. Everybody should pay the exact same amount. The sales tax in Pennsylvania is a regressive tax. If you hear that, that is true. And it's true because there's too many exemptions. You have a car? You pay a sales tax? You have a repair? Well, a helicopter is exempt. Isn't that transportation? Well, the yacht is exempt. Boats aren't, but the yachts are. Okay?
My boat's a yacht.
If it's really classified that way, you can get away with it. This report was done after by the Federal and Budget Policy Priorities of Washington, D.C. And it was done not just for Pennsylvania, but it was done for all the states. Ideally, one could consider reducing the regressivity of sales tax by extending the sales tax to services purchased primarily by the employer. Because most of their big ticket items are exempt. If we would go to a 3% sales tax, and everything is taxed, food, clothing, everything, except business-to-business transfers, we would have more money than what we would need to pay all the bills plus eliminate the school taxes. But we need to get rid of the regressive taxes that we have and the exemptions, the favors that Harrisburg is doing and we're paying for. That's another big part of the problem, and that's a big part of the problem why there is no money for funding the pensions or cleaning a lot of this stuff up. There's too many exemptions for the wrong people.
Anybody else have questions?
What time does your group meet down there at the restaurant?
6 to 8.
On what day?
It's a Monday, it's every third Monday of the month. Yep. If you go to the EOP website, it'll tell you exactly what we're going to be talking about.
What restaurant was that again?
Wegmans.
Wegmans?
Wegmans.
Rich, could you explain exactly how it's going to work, that they're going to freeze the budgets at every school, but every school does get what they had spent this past year?
Yeah, great question. They could not go into this bill and balance out the spending across the state of the schools. If they tried to do that, it would collapse. The legislators would just not approve it. So whatever funding the schools are getting, they will still receive. But instead of receiving it through the school taxes, they're going to receive it through the income and the sales tax. They will receive exactly the same money, but then it will be increased by either CPI or sales tax revenue, which is ever higher. I'm sorry, which is ever lower. It's the lower of the two. So yes, everybody's going to get the same amount of money with a slight increase. But now what's going to happen out of that, Do you think some school districts are going to start screaming about this?
Of course.
You better believe it. Now, what do the legislators have to do? They have to go back in and fix the inadequate funding across the state. That is an unwritten consequence in this bill. Because that will cause a problem. It's causing a problem now. But to put that in this bill now, it'll never work. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Any other questions?
Rich, can you elaborate on the debt service one more time?
Oh, the debt service. You mean right now the uncontrollable debt that we have?
School taxes stop.
Okay. This bill tells the school districts with the debt must put together a sunset date. In other words, when will this debt end? And it's going to be set up like a mortgage, not an equity one. Okay? At the end of this term, this will be done. Whatever your portion of the debt is in your school tax payment, if your debt service is 10% of your taxes, you'll pay 10% until that debt is now over. Okay? If it's 5%, you'll pay 5% until it's over. But at the end of that term, then that payment goes away and the debt is retired. The other point I want to make about the debt is this. Up until 1972, guess how much debt the school districts had? Zero. They survived with zero debt. And they produced some of the most intelligent people that have come out of America. We do not need this debt. We do not need to service this debt. Government really should not have any debt. Okay? So yes, it would abolish the debt over a time period. If that school district wants debt, they must come to you and you must vote yes. If you vote no, you got the majority of the vote, they cannot take that debt. In other words, you have control of that debt, not the school system. And right now, today, the educational system has control of the debt. You have none. Any other questions? If there is none, I will stick around a little bit. I'll answer any questions.
It'll take some time to show this video if you want to stick around for 5 minutes.
Hey, Rob.
Does he need more information?
We are about to go home.
Want to go now and go for it?
Hi, my name is Peggy Sisney. I'm from Lebanon County, here in my Colebrook area, and I've been paying property taxes for the last 50-some years. My biggest gripe here is I have a neighbor, lady who's 92 years old. They built their home 72 years ago, and she's at the point where she could lose that home after 72 years because she can no longer afford the property tax.
My name's Jeff Einmark. I was the first county resident most of my life. Now I live in Schuylkill County for one big reason: property tax. I think she would afford in my side. I have a beautiful home down here in Berks County, but taxes were just too high. When you retire, couldn't keep it up. My name is Carl Shuker from Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. And this whole issue of the property tax here in Pennsylvania is a really large issue to me. We've been very greatly affected by it. My property also got caught up in the residential reverse appeals. That
30 years on the borough council there, and the whole time that I was there, I've seen our school taxes go up and up and up. Now I'm retired, and my school taxes personally actually take 3 months of my Social Security checks. So that's 1/4 of my Social Security that I'm paid in. I have trouble making repairs to my house because it's all I can do to just keep things going and pay those taxes.
My name is John McCartney, and my wife and I live in Michigan, Pennsylvania, down there in Gadsden. I got a school tax of about $6,000 a year. That is the most I have ever paid anything per year for any product or service.
I had an incident, I spoke to a gentleman 2 months ago, where years ago, he couldn't wait for his property tax until his mortgage was paid, and he retired. He would then be able to live comfortably. Well, he is now retired, his mortgage is paid off, however, his property taxes are higher than his mortgage payment was. So he's not living comfortably. There are others, he had to take a part-time job, by the way. There's others not as fortunate that are losing their homes all the time. I happen to have with me Reading Eagle, 4 pages of people who are losing their homes because of not paying property taxes. Can you imagine if these people didn't have to pay the school property taxes and monthly payments would be about $200 a month less? They probably, some of these, would not lose their homes.
Hi, my name is Margaret Kennedy. I'm tax collector in Union Township, Berks County, Pennsylvania. This is my 40th year, and I see it firsthand with people just struggling to pay their school real estate bills. And especially on a personal level, my 97-year-old mother-in-law, the last few years, has to go to the bank, a line of credit, to borrow money to pay her taxes.
As I stated before, folks, if anybody has a story they would like to share with me, see me up here in this front corner with the cat, and I'll just videotape your statement, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay, that'll be the end of our meeting. I want to thank Rich for the presentation and everybody for coming here to take part in it. There's one gentleman that wants to make an announcement for another presentation that's coming tomorrow, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it. Bill?
Hi, my name is Bill Tunkey. I am on the Lehigh Valley Coalition for Healthcare Reform. Can you hear me now? Tomorrow, at the Best Western off of 512, 6:30 p.m., the Americans for Prosperity, which is Jen Stefano, she will be coming in to do a presentation on the Affordable Care Act, we like to call it Obamacare. And also remember that Obamacare is going to be effective in the school systems. Okay, that's coming. You can register for a free ticket by going to the American for Prosperity website because it's, I don't know how many people live in a hole, but you're probably going to have several hundred people there. So if you would go to the website, you can download the ticket, it's free, they're going to provide refreshments and that. Okay.